All right, and we're live. So now we got our audio going. Okay, and that's camera one. That's camera one. That's camera two. All right. Ooh. Oh, hi everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of Art Talk. I'm here with my friend Nat, and we're going to be talking more about artistry. She picked a different question this time. We're talking about.
There's Tally. There's
Do you have a stage name, or do you want to just be Natalya?
stage name. Gosh, as in something that like is like Nat, or something that's like identifiable that isn't my name.
Whatever you like. Any preference there? I can call you Talia.
Some people have said my name.
Do you prefer it though?
Like an apostrophe, Talia.
Mm-hmm.
Like not Talia, the name. They'll say like, oh, this is Talia.
Yes.
Like,
do you prefer that?
I don't.
So we're gonna call you Natalia then.
Okay.
All right. It's all right. 3, 2, 1. Hi everybody. Welcome back to Art Talk, episode 2. Here with Natalya. She is going to continue on this conversation. She is an actress, but I'll let her give a little bit more bio about herself. So introduce yourself.
Oh gosh, let's see. My name is Natalya. I am an actress, but I probably wouldn't start with actress. I'd probably, gosh, let's see. I write, I doodle. I never really say I draw, but I guess I do draw.
Yes, you do.
So I write, I draw, I act, I sing in private.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she picked a different question. What was the question number 3? It was what keeps you from creating?
Yes.
Okay.
See, my cop out answer would probably be that, like, oh, well, I just don't have the time. I can't ever seem to find time. And I started writing that, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I actually do have plenty of time. I have time to read. I have time to listen to music. I have time to goof off. So I think what really keeps me from creating is like a subconscious, I have nothing to create. Like I have plenty of ideas and I'll jot down my ideas, but I never get around to actually making them real, which I think is kind of just rooted in a, oh, it's not good enough to be real yet.
Okay. So I will ask on this topic. I do hear like a few tinges of self doubt and like kind of like a dipping self confidence there.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that's something that plays a role in why you don't create in the traditional sense, or what your output is looking like because of those like negative emotions?
Absolutely. And honestly, I mentioned that I jot down my ideas. I used to not do that. I used to have an idea and be like, wow, that's a great idea. Too bad it's for me, so it's not a good idea. And I wouldn't
Wow.
even write it down.
So progress, okay.
It wasn't until I started seeing people, mostly I follow a lot of writers, like, more freelance ones. And this thing was going around of like, it doesn't need to be perfect, just make it real. The first draft it's hard, but the goal of it is just to get it into something that exists, and then you can tweak it.
Okay.
So that's probably that. After that, I started writing my ideas down at least, so that at least they existed. Okay. But somebody recently said that it's not that the idea is so great, but that it came from you.
Yes.
And I was like, that's worldview changing.
Yes. On the first Art Talk, we both talked about points of perfectionism and how that was also holding us back because we were uncomfortable with the idea of the things that we do being messy, not being perfect and polished. I can imagine that would also be something that has also, passed your psyche at some point when it comes to how you view what you make now, because since I've known you, I believe you've been in at least 2 plays, right?
3 now.
3, okay. And at this point, you've been in 3 plays, and you, in passing, said you still don't consider yourself to be an actress. Why is that?
I guess
because you're actively doing the thing.
You're right, and I'm so big on words and how we're using them. I'll correct wording in anywhere. So I guess the reason that I didn't really and kind of still don't call myself an actress is because I still kind of picture an actress as like, I almost throw out a name from somebody that I knew from high school. But like the better actors are actresses, or the ones who are doing it more frequently. I do a play a year, maybe every 2 years. And that's not enough to be an actress.
Really? Because some famous actors only do one project every 5 years.
Yeah, I have to remember that. And in my whole words are important to me. If you do something, you are one who does that. If you have ever cooked, you are a chef. If you have ever written, you are a writer. I speak, I'm a communicator. I do act, I am an actress.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I will point out that there is something to be said about like kind of like the loosey goosey way of defining these terms, and that also being a double edged sword. That if you feel like you are somebody who wants a little bit more of a strict like barrier around your terminology,
mm-hmm.
having such a low barrier of entry can also be an identity crisis. So I want us to always consider like the language that we choose and how that can be extrapolated and interpreted by other people. But I do like the idea of having these talks and having my own preconceived notions shattered a little bit. So, with you being somebody who is further along in your journey than I am, who creates things, you're an actress, and you still struggling with that, I find it to be a very valuable position to be in because the doing part is typically where people struggle the most when it comes to identity. If you're not good enough, if you're not making enough things, then I don't even want to start. I don't know where to start, and that can be an entire snowball to consider. But when you're already over that hump and you're just like in the weeds in the thick of it, to still have these same kind of questions lingering in your head can be comforting to some people because it's like, okay, even if she is further along her journey, she doesn't have everything figured out, and she still questions things.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you might want to add.
Just that you said on something that I also have felt, not just here, but when I'm in a hard situation, and I tend to seek out people who have been in a hard situation, but specifically are already like a couple miles beyond getting out of it, because then I get to go, oh, you made it through. There is at least one person out there who has figured it out, which means I can, and I'm able to. So
that's your North Star.
Yeah, it's my North Star. So it's unique, and I'm glad to be in a position where I'm finally in a kind of North Star type thing. Because you're absolutely right. There are plenty of people who are out there doing the things and still struggle with that kind of identity, kind of imposter syndrome type feeling of, well, I do have a whole cooking show and I do cook all the time, but am I really a chef?
My closing question is: over the duration of this conversation, has your idea of artist as a title changed? Has it changed for you personally? Have you made any new resolutions as to like how you plan to like move forward in this space?
It's a good one. Um, I would probably say my view on it hasn't changed as much as, because you asked me before if I was an artist and why not, or no, you invited me to an event for artists and I was like, but I'm not an artist, and you were like, why not? You do these things, and so you'd already kind of thrown a seed into my head that was starting to grow, but since the kind of reluctance to claim the title is more inwards and like in my psyche, I haven't I guess my view on it hasn't changed because it already changed.
Okay.
I'm still working on accepting it and kind of like meeting it where it's at. But I absolutely, from our talk, at the very least, I want to have this conversation more. I want to ask more people. I want to talk to my other friends who I consider artists, and I want to ask them if that's like a badge they wear, or if that's a cloak they put on, or if that's something that they carry in them, or if that's something that they put on. If it's a hat they wear that you take off and put back on.
I think that's a very interesting topic because finding community in this space, I think, is probably going to be one of the most like soul soothing parts of it.
Oh, it's definitely rewarding.
When you can band together with other people and be in proximity, I do think that your perspective does change, which is why I'm like happy to be here, and I'm happy to be around people who are expressing their creativity because I think that just like college, the more people that you're around who are in college, the more likely you are to be in college.
Oh,
And I think that when it comes to creating artistry, being an artist, and being more creatively inclined, proximity plays a big part in that.
absolutely. We tend to flock to each other, and the environments where you tend to see a lot of artists or tend to see a lot of anybody, a lot of birds of that feather, they're they're flocking together.
And I know that it can also be a very tricky space to navigate
Mm-hmm.
because even if you're coming into these situations and you have a tinge of self doubt, that can kind of balloon out too if you're in spaces where people are doing what you would consider to be like amazing things that are like kind of blowing your mind and you feel like you're not measuring up to that. So there's something to be said about that as well, where proximity can also be something that turns itself into a burden if you leave it unchecked. It can be this monumentous mountain that you have to overclimb that feels like a never-ending journey onto the next thing. And I find that, especially in the digital space, it can very easily divulge into like what you produce, and just like when it comes to like full-time artistry, people who like are like capital A artists, people who like live in
Mm-hmm.
gallery spaces,
Mm-hmm.
people who are like thespians in the on Broadway space, it can be it can feel like Mount Everest when you're at the bottom, seeing these people who are having an easier time, a smoother time, or have more clarity in something because this is the only thing that they want to do. And that doesn't seem to be the case for you when it comes to your own artistry because you were talking about so many different creative ways that you express yourself. And I do like that, but I also don't want that inquisitive nature to go away because, oh, well, I have this title, therefore I can't do other things. Don't limit yourself in that space.
Something you mentioned, and I had this like I raised my hand in my head and then I put it down because you used a different word. You had said that you had originally said it is a mountain, or that it can become a mountain. The proximity to other artists and the pressure to like be like them, or meet the standards you have in your head that they do meet. And then later you said it can feel like one, and I was like, yeah, I wanted because I had the thought I would have called it a hurdle or a barrier,
Mm-hmm.
because one, it's in here. It's not out there. And every time I do have a chance to be on other artists, like that event you invited me to where it was 4 artists, I do have that like initial kind of hurdle of, oh my gosh, but am I really an artist? They're gonna be like the capital A artists here. They're gonna be the better ones. Is my stuff even worth like adding to the table? And the second I get there, that bubble is popped. That hurdle is kicked over. Somebody go. I bring my origami heart that I made a couple weeks ago that I'm not that proud of. I'm proud of, but it isn't that great. And somebody's like, oh my God, an origami heart. That's so cool. That's so amazing. Tell me more. I've never failed to meet somebody who's not excited about what I'm bringing. And that's not me saying like I just have the best stuff in the world. Everybody's always impressed by it. But I think that proximity thing, artists, every artist I've met at least has seen value in my work, not because my work is so valuable, capital V, but because my work is valuable, because it is work, because it is mine, because it is someone's
Perspective.
perspective.
Perspective. All right, and with that, we're going to close out this episode 2 of Art Talk. I do want to thank Natalia for taking this time to come and talk to me about this. And I've learned something new here. We're both kind of in the same space where we make things. Our outputs are kind of sporadic, and I have an opportunity to like kind of ramp that up based off of my own inquisitive nature. And I'm going to continue on doing that because there's people like you who could also I can take along with that journey and use that to spur them into more action too.
So, absolutely.
Okay. And with that, that is the end of episode 2. It is a wrap. Thank you for that. That was a beautiful conversation.